Welcome again to another question from the Old Testament. Our question today comes from the Old Testament prophet Daniel. Daniel chapter 3 verse 14, the question is asked by Nebuchadnezzar. Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image that I have set up? To give our question context today, we're going to read verses 1 through 20 of Daniel chapter 3. Daniel chapter 3, beginning in verse 1. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and its breadth 6 cubits. He set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then King Nebuchadnezzar sent to gather the satraps, the prefects, and the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then the satraps, the prefects, and the governors, the counselors, the treasurers, the justices, the magistrates, and all the officials of the province gathered for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up, and the herald proclaimed aloud, "You are commanded, O peoples, nations, and languages, that when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, you are to fall down and worship the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall immediately be cast into a burning, fiery furnace. Therefore, as soon as all the peoples heard the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, all the peoples, nations, and languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Therefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came forward and maliciously accused the Jews. They declared to King Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. You, O king, have made a decree that every man who hears the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoever does not fall down and worship shall be cast into a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom you have appointed over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, pay no attention to you. They do not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar, in furious rage, commanded that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought. So they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar answered and said to them, "Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image that I have set up? Now, if you are ready, when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, to fall down and worship the image that I have made, well and good. But if you do not worship, you shall immediately be cast into a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands?" Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar was filled with fury, and the expression of his face was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times more than it was usually heated. And he ordered some of the mighty men of his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning, fiery furnace. A number of years ago, Lawrence Kohlberg did research into the moral development of human beings. In his research, he presented the druggist dilemma, or the Heinz dilemma, as it's known to some people, in which a scenario was put forth whereby how one responded to his having put themselves into a position of one of the characters, and their actions determine where that person was, generally speaking, in one of 7 developmental stages. It was not meant to determine one's morality, or if they were a bad person or a good person. It was simply to show where they were in that developmental state. We often might pose theoretical situations to see how and why people react as they do. When you think about it, how often do we watch the news and perhaps put ourselves into the position of someone who reacted adversely in the story, saying, "Boy, if that was me, I would not have done that." It might be that after we have gone through a particular trial, we look back and wish we had made a different choice. Maybe I'll call it the 2020 dilemma, not the year 2020, and how many of us wish that we had gone about it differently, but the perfect vision of 2020. Here in Daniel 3, we have the Nebuchadnezzar dilemma, as it were. In the first 8 verses of the chapter, which give us the preamble, our 3 boys are put into a rather difficult position. Not your run-of-the-mill scenario that might at the most cause embarrassment or getting knocked down a couple notches on the social scale. This situation is life and death. Do it or die. This is the ultimate test of faith. Or is it? There's an old saying from Mr. Shakespeare. The coward dies 1,000 times before his death, but the valiant taste of death but once. Some may rationalize in their appointment with destiny, to yield is to live to fight another day, while others may say, no, not once will I bow down. Have you ever wondered how many other Jews were there that day in the plain of Dura and how they reacted? If they were there, then certainly their names are lost to history. But these 3 shall forever stand head and shoulders above the countless numbers who either played it safe or never gave a second thought to obeying their king. In reality, we each may face our own Nebuchadnezzar dilemma in our lives more often than we think when asked to bow to peer pressures of the day. Yes, we may live to fight another day in our inability to stand up against them. But have you considered where you might stand in eternity? And Lord willing, let's meet here again tomorrow and consider another question from the Old Testament.